Would you date somebody who's pro-life?
Yes, because you can be pro-life and still pro-choice. And there's, as long as they're pro-life and not anti-choice, that's to me the key distinction.
What is going on, everyone? I hope you guys are all doing great today and is being blessed. If we haven't met, my name is Joel, and you are watching the Conservative Dad channel. Today we're going to be watching a very interesting video of Kirk talking to some radical feminists and also a couple of women from OnlyFans website. And if you're not familiar with OnlyFans, or OF as they call it, try Googling it. It's an interesting website. Anyway, before we start, if you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, I would appreciate if you do a comment and stick around all the way to the end of this video, because it's going to be a heated debate. Let's go jump right into it.
Would you date somebody who's pro-life? Starting with you. I know it's hot seat, but...
Oh man, why do I always gotta go first? Yes.
Into the mic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would.
Yes, because you can be pro-life and still pro-choice. And there's, as long as they're pro-life and not anti-choice, that's to me the key distinction.
Wait, can you clarify? I'm a little confused.
There are plenty of Democrats, if you poll Democrats, like for example, like a lot of Catholic Democrats, Joe Biden, our own president personally, is pro-life. So he would not feel comfortable probably having a wife that submitted herself to procure an abortion, but is okay with it being legal. And I think that's the important distinction, not whether or not they personally are. So yeah, sure.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I think generally. I don't know. It depends. If they're super pro-life to the point where it's like, oh, the mother's health is at risk and you still shouldn't abort, then I'm like, whoa, slow down there, buddy. I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay.
But without those extremes, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree about the extremes. If they are too extreme, then maybe no.
Okay.
But I would still date someone who's pro-life if they weren't too extreme.
Okay.
I'm kind of the same. I don't think it becomes a problem unless I get pregnant unexpectedly and then I don't want the child. But I'm sure if it was a good relationship anyways and I get pregnant, I would want the child anyways too, even though I am pro-choice. I don't think it gives that much of a conflict, obviously depending on the circumstance. But
Molly?
I agree. You can be pro-choice and pro-life at the same time, and that is really the only way that I would be able to be in a relationship, because I'm pro-choice, but I can also respect that the person that I love is not.
Okay. Charlie, any thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm just curious, when would you guys say human?
Interesting answers from the women of OnlyFans. So let's continue.
Life begins?
That's like a philosophical question for the ages.
When there's a heartbeat.
Just casually asked.
When there's a heartbeat.
or no, I guess in the
see,
uterus.
now we have three different answers.
Yeah, actually,
so we have I will presume a group of women, because you all self-described as women. I'm kidding. When does life begin?
Heartbeat.
I'm gonna still stay at birth, even though I know that your cells can be forming a brain and stuff in the uterus. But yeah, I think you're not fully a human until you're born.
Okay, and you said heartbeat, right? Okay.
I think it's very difficult to answer. I think mostly consciousness and personhood is really what people are seeking to identify. And I believe, I'm sure you happen to know, how many weeks was a full term of pregnancy?
It's a good question. I know very well. It's about 38, 39 weeks. 40 is like at the furthest of gestation.
40 weeks. So as far as I know, around 30 weeks is when you see typically most development of the fetus has taken place. So I would say around
way
there.
earlier than that, but yeah. So heartbeat is right around 6 weeks. Brain waves are even before that. And you could do an ultrasound at you could start to do ultrasounds at 8 weeks, and you could see the full being right around 12 weeks. And right around 25, 26 weeks are now the earliest cases we have of babies that are able to survive outside of the womb. Does anyone have any other answers on that?
Well, I mean, I'm not educated scientifically enough about the biology of all of it, but I agree. I think that life is a very subjective term. You could say when does the infant's body in the womb start functioning, or you could say when do they start perceiving their consciousness. And for me, it's when they start perceiving their consciousness, but truly, I have no idea when that is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would be important to? Let me ask you this: if you knew for certain the baby, would you agree it's a baby? Is that a good term to use if it's in a womb? Is that a baby?
I think most people would say fetus.
Probably
Yeah,
fetus.
fetus.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does fetus mean in Latin?
I think a fetus is a growing child. It's a
Yeah,
developing
you're right,
child.
Molly. You know it means a little human.
Yeah.
It's just using fetus is nothing more than a cope for what you know it is. It's a baby, right? So it's just
Obviously not if we're here debating it. I don't think it's as
well.
settled
Then
as
what?
you
You
think
don't
it
have to use
is.
the word fetus. It just makes people feel better. It's obviously a baby.
No, I mean, obviously you wouldn't take like, you know, a fetus that just has like a heart and like their brain isn't fully formed and be like, that's the same as like a 1 month old.
Yeah.
Like we obviously see differences between development
Okay.
from then and there.
So, but then how about 30 weeks?
That's where it becomes a lot more contentious.
Mm-hmm.
But the point being is that we don't look at a fetus from its beginning stages and be like, yeah, that's the same thing as my like 3-month-old
Well,
cousin.
hold on. That's a 9-month-old is not the same thing as a 1-month-old.
Okay, and
right? So you can go through the progression of development continues. The question is, when does it start?
Yeah, that's $1 million question. I agree with that.
So
Do you
wouldn't-
think conception?
Of course, that's the only answer.
Most women, I don't believe, even know that they're pregnant before 6 weeks.
But
So like around like the heartbeats
Yeah,
and
but
stuff
the,
like that.
the knowledge of your pregnancy doesn't mean that you're not pregnant.
No. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying like practicality wise, there are many instances of women who have miscarriages without even ever knowing because it might just present as like a very heavy cycle that month.
And that's fine, but it doesn't make it any less a life,
So
right?
I
Sure,
have
go ahead, Molly.
an
No, but
interesting-
would you mourn that miscarriage in the same
Of
way you
course,
mourn like
100%,
an
yes.
abortion, like a conscious
Not the same way.
choice?
No, it's not the same way. No, but it's still a tragedy. A miscarriage is a tragedy, but
So
an
do you-
abortion.
Even if she doesn't
So-
know about it?
But an abortion is an act of human will. A miscarriage most times is not. Now, sometimes it can be a miscarriage because you drank alcohol and you didn't know you were pregnant, or you might have taken a drug that have side effects. But yes,
I have a
a
question.
miscarriage is a tragedy. Yes.
I have a question. So, do you care about the children once they're born?
I mean, I care a lot about them. Yeah. I do.
So, if say a woman got R-worded or something, or even if she just got pregnant and
Grid 1
kinda wanna
Motorsports
keep
donated $200.
Right?
Life is not subjective, and we know this because you were
Anyway.
speaking of killing.
Yeah. Just
Why is it so easy for you ladies to kill kids? If your comfort and
good faith
lifestyle
question.
more important
I'm
than
not
a life
talking
you
about
gave
it.
created.
anyway, my question was, what was I saying? Oh, if
you were
yeah,
saying
so
if somebody was
someone got
someone
like
forced
R-worded
sex upon
or-
themselves. It's the
or
word you're.
even
Yeah.
like not even just that, but say like if the mother like was homeless or something, say like she didn't have a good life, do you still think that child deserves to be brought into the world just to suffer?
Well, so it's not a guarantee of suffering. Number one. One
But if-
sec. One
but if
sec.
they
One
were?
sec. The answer is yes. The life should be brought into the world. There are twice as many people on the adoption waiting list. Than
There's so many people.
Well, let me ask you guys, and I don't. I'm just curious. How many abortions do you think there are a year in America?
I have no
Tens
idea.
of thousands, I assume.
Any other guesses?
No, I have no clue.
What if I told you there was over 1 million abortions every year?
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
But you went from tens of thousands to 1 million.
I mean, there's billions of people on the
No.
on the
Yeah, there's
so-
340 million in America. That's right. No, but do you think does it?
As far
does-
as like reported ones, because even
that
just
doesn't
reporting
count-
data is going to be incomplete
that
because
doesn't count mifepristone, which is the chemical abortion that people can have
Right.
at home. It doesn't count Plan B, right? So,
and even if like abortion were illegal, for example, we stopped gathering data on like who procures abortions, there would be so many. There's so many now, even
Well,
with
not
states
true.
where it's still legal.
Texas, it's gone down
Even-
dramatically. So hundreds of
No,
thousands.
they're still happening. It's
Well,
just
no, they're happening,
not
but
being accounted
about
for.
90%
Women are
abortion.
just doing it to themselves.
Right, it's a 90% abortion reduction rate in Texas. I don't want to dwell on that too much, though. So there's 1 million abortions every single year, and there's twice as many people on the there's 2 million people actively on the adoption waiting list. So there's really no such thing currently, there could be, but currently, of an unwanted child. So there's 2 million people wanting to adopt, and there's 1 million people that have abortions every single year. So there's twice as many people that want to get a child. Now, there's a longer conversation about making it less bureaucratic without allowing bad people to adopt kids for bad reasons. I'm perfectly open for that conversation. But to answer your question, I don't love the premise. It's a really good question because a lot of people have it. I don't necessarily believe being born in poverty is a death sentence or is a reason to
Oh, of
terminate.
course not.
No. But abortion is a death sentence. So I don't think poverty should give you a death sentence.
Would you say abortion is murder?
Oh, of course, 100%.
Do you think that people who procure abortions, women specifically,
Yes.
a woman who procures an abortion should go to jail for getting one?
Absolutely, yeah. They're the moral equivalent
Wow.
of Auschwitz.
Really?
Yes.
I kind of
Millions
want
of-
By the way,
I completely agree with what Charlie's saying. Anybody who commits abortion should be charged and be tried for murder.
Millions of women are,
No,
are
not the women.
basically the same as like Nazi
not the women.
death
No,
camp
the
guards.
women are victims. They're lied to. 90% of women do not see an ultrasound before they have an abortion. They have no idea what's happening to them. They're the victims here. It is the abortionists that are doing this. But let me ask you, and I mean this, have you guys ever seen an abortion on a video?
Wait, no, I'm sorry. If women are the victims here, why should they be jailed?
Well, I don't believe they should be jailed. I
You
think
just said
the
they should be
abortionists.
jailed.
How is it that
the
you could
abortionists,
believe
the
that abortion
doctors.
is murder, but a
No, no.
murderer shouldn't
No,
go to
no,
jail?
I didn't say that. The doctors, the abortionists, the people that call themselves doctors, the people that put women under general anesthesia and go into.
But women do, they ask
They
for
are
it.
doctors. They're medical.
Are you going to just discount the
current-
accountability of the
my
woman in
current
that decision?
perspective is because the women are not given what is called informed consent, that the women should not be penalized. They should not be. They shouldn't be penalized. In fact, they should be given grace from a system that has lied to them and has misled them. They are not given the full picture of exactly what's happening to them. Informed consent has not happened. So these women are the victims. The abortionists, one second, the abortionists are the ones that know exactly what's happening. And if you haven't seen a video of an abortion, I'm not going to say anything too graphic. It is one of the hardest things to watch. The baby fights, the baby struggles, the baby dodges, the baby avoids. They break the neck of the baby. They euthanize it through the spring. It's not a joke. And then they tear it limb from limb through there. If you're trying to tell me that's,
That's like a
If you're talking
full-grown
about,
child.
yeah, like they're
Hold on,
called
no, no, no.
dilation and extraction abortions,
No.
then yes,
Hold
it
on
can
a
look
second.
like that. But if you're talking
a baby
about,
has a backbone at 6 weeks and a spine. It has a complete figure. It's small. It's like probably as small
the
as.
size of like a grape, yeah.
Yes, but by 8 weeks or 12 weeks, and you're talking about.
But the vast majority of abortions are performed in the first trimester.
Yeah, that's right.
So when
And-
you
and
just
so when
the
it- when
type of
is-
abortion that you described
trimester
is
is up to
literally
12
the
weeks.
like minority
Hold
of
on
the
a
time,
second.
and those are wanted pregnancies
said- you
because
said they
usually
don't-
those women want those pregnancies. They weren't able
They
to
don't
carry
know
them
they're
to term
pregnant till they're 6 weeks,
because
to your point.
they weren't able to carry those children to term because of health risks to their own life or to the infants.
Right. So, without getting into that, no infant should be terminated because of health risk to the infant. Okay, that's insane. It's like you're going to kill the baby because the baby has health risks. That doesn't-
Not just health risks. These are deformed, like
Oh, let me ask you.
these
should-
are medical.
Hold on, Down syndrome.
like
Should we
stillbirths
abort
or
Down syndrome kids?
No.
Iceland has. They said if you have Down syndrome, you're done. So that's not a new phenomenon. They have gotten rid of Down syndrome. If you have a DNA test of Down syndrome, they abort the kid. I think that's cruel and unusual.
That is.
Yeah.
Okay, we agree. Good.
I think there are frivolous reasons to procure abortions, but I don't believe that just because there are frivolous reasons to get them, that means it should be outlawed.
But should murder be outlawed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like you were saying,
Then
you even though you believe that those women have a hand in committing the murder and infanticide
they
basically
don't-
of their own children, they
They
shouldn't go to
don't
jail.
believe that they have not been given informed consent.
Do
They
you
don't
have
know
that
what's
opinion
happening
with
to them.
people who are addicted to drugs?
Would-
Do you
I-
think
do
only
I
drug
think-
dealers should go to jail, but not
Well,
people who
it
actually try to buy drugs and
Well,
consume
it depends.
them?
It depends what drug it is. It depends the category, the class, the
Is there a
repetition.
single drug where you would say that somebody who is buying and consuming drugs that they are addicted to should not be going to jail, but only their drug dealer should be going to jail?
I mean, I think fentanyl and heroin potentially, but it's a completely separate issue because a lot of people know the informed consent of heroin and fentanyl. It's not. We have PSAs, we have billboards. Stop using fentanyl. Stop doing fentanyl. How many times have you heard that? Have you
Tons,
ever?
but they have a
Hold on,
chemical
hold on a
dependency
second.
now that prevents them
Hold on
from
a
being
second.
able to make that
How
choice.
often have we ever had an honest conversation with women in this country saying that having an abortion increases the chances for depression, anxiety, medication dependence?
So does having a kid.
Well, hold on.
Having children carries all of those
So-
same risks.
You think having children?
that goes into it.
You think having children
No,
is?
don't mischaracterize me.
No, that's not true at
I'm
all.
not going to
When-
say that
women-
having a child necessarily gives you depression
Women who
or
have
any
children-
of that.
That's what
but
she
it can,
said.
it can
right.
come
Yeah.
with it.
It
Like
can.
postpartum depression, for example, is
Is it
extremely common
is
among young
temporary and short-lived, and obviously
Not always.
For
Some
some
Fires.
people last
So
years.
is the depression
that's
from
temporary
abortion.
and short-lived. That's not permanent.
You
Yeah,
think
but when you're
years
in that,
of living
you're
with
not-
postpartum depression can simply constitute a temporary
Wait, so
medical
let's
issue?
let's theoretically even grant. So you're saying because of potential postpartum depression or financial burdens, the moral answer is allow women to go in.
No, that was never my
clinics.
argument. This had nothing to do with morality. This was a completely separate question. I'm only saying that I feel like you're trivializing and downplaying how serious conditions like postpartum depression can be when you want to write it off as like a temporary medical
it's obviously
issue
real.
when it can be years-long battle.
Look,
especially if it's
having
left
children is a
untreated.
serious choice. So what percentage of abortions, according to the Guttmacher Institute, are not rape, not incest, and not life of the mother? What percentage would you
Probably
say?
the vast majority.
97%.
Yeah.
So is abortion now birth control, yes or no?
No, I don't think so.
I think
But-
that's situational to each and every
Molly,
person.
do you think that birth control, it could be called birth control in certain
Because
situations?
you're talking about over 1 million abortions, but there's tens of millions of women that are on birth control, that are that have IUDs, that take birth control pills. So obviously, that's not the only reason why.
But it's a
Or
form
that's-
of birth control, is
it's
it not?
a form of birth
Because
control,
they're
sure,
not,
but
they're,
you acknowledge that it's not the
it.
predominant form of birth control.
Well, no, I didn't say that. Hold on, I said it's birth control.
Yeah, but we're not disagreeing with the category.
Hold on.
I'm talking
So
about the
therefore,
prevalency of
if it's
it.
birth control, then why would we allow it to continue if it's not? If you put the rape, incest, life of the mother, which we can debate.
I
which
didn't.
But no, I'm going to put that aside for a second. Then why should we allow a horrific procedure to continue that has such heavy and dire consequences and results in a child not being able to live outside of the womb?
Because that's
You're
somebody's
loading it
choice.
so much by
Horrific.
saying a
Okay.
horrific
Subjective.
procedure.
Hold on,
Most
so-
women who procure abortions actually report being happy long term because they made the choice, because there's many different reasons why women get abortions. Some women aren't in a financial position to have a child at that time and actually decide to have children later.
How'd they get pregnant?
What do you mean? They had sex unprotected
So
or
wait,
an accident.
So they want the orgasm without the responsibility.
Do you think the majority of women are having orgasms in sex? Are you serious? Have you seen the studies on orgasm gaps between men and
I'll
women?
be honest. So they want all the pleasure. They want all, but it's you want all the loose lifestyle, but none of the
don't want a kid from
responsibilities.
Now you're framing it like the punishment for having it should
Hold
like
on, it's a
orgasm should be
punishment?
punished. No, the way that you're framing it, which
No,
is
it's
that
not a punishment.
oh, you
It's
want
called
the
a cost.
loosey-goosey parts of sex,
Hold
like
on.
the
If
orgasm,
you-
but you don't want the responsibility of a child. It's like, yeah, some people want to be able to have sex.
Okay, no, you
and,
articulate it
not have
perfectly.
kids.
I'm going to be able to have sex how I want, and if I have to go put a dagger through, or have someone put a dagger through a child for me, then so be it.
Sure,
think?
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that you're being morally clear, and basically it's my body. I can do whatever I want with it, even though. Let me ask you a question.
Even though, like I said,
if
most women
it's-
don't regret their abortions
Okay.
at all. Like the vast majority of women report happiness
Yeah,
and
I
being okay with their decision.
I
I'm
find
sure
that
you think
hard
that
to
they're
believe.
lying or they're
Wait,
indoctrinated
I have
or
a
wrong
So,
or
but
delusional.
if it's
yeah.
not your DNA, how is it your choice?
What?
If it's not your DNA, why is it your choice?
It is.
Definitely
N-
is.
no,
Because
it's
Your
the
child
baby
has to
has its
carry
own
the
DNA.
child to
It's already in
gestation.
your partner's DNA, and then it forms into
It has its own
birth.
unique DNA that's not yours.
Here,
It's part
this
of
is-
your DNA. It's
this is
50
my
50.
It's half. Oh, so should the man then be able
Hold
to
on.
have veto power over abortion?
Well, the point is the man isn't the one incubating the child. So
But I thought if it's about
my-
DNA.
If you
But
get
I never made the DNA argument. You did. The argument that I was going to make was, or I was going to ask you the question: do you think another person has a right to your life and your body?
Does another person have a right to? Well, technically, because abortion was legal when I was in utero, someone did have a right to my life and body.
Oh, hey,
And my mom chose life. Praise God. So did all your moms.
yeah.
My mom
the
actually wanted an
argument.
abortion.
Are you glad that she didn't have an abortion?
No.
So you would rather be dead?
I don't know. I mean, life can be
If
difficult.
she
I'm
didn't
not gonna
exist,
be, I'm
you
not
would
gonna
not
be
be
that
able
deep.
to even
Send
know
an
what you
asteroid on
never,
that one.
Yeah.
what you never materialized.
A couple people wanted to come in really quick.
That was another good debate, guys. Even though it really got heated, both parties still showed mutual respect, right? Well, for me, my belief and my position on this is that life begins at conception. That's it. And no one has the right to terminate a pregnancy unless for the purpose of a medical emergency as a last resort that either the child or the mother's life is in serious danger. It is like in a life and death situation. What is your stand regarding the people who commit abortion? Should they get charged or do they need to go to prison? What do you guys think? Well, for me, absolutely. You know, in some states, if you kill a murderer or murder a woman who is actually pregnant, you get charged twice, right? You get charged one for the mom and one for the baby in the womb. If I'm not mistaken, there was a case like the Lacey Peterson murder case. I think the husband was charged for 2 counts of murder. Next would be, what does the Bible say about abortion? Well, on top of my head, the only thing I know right now is actually one of the 10 commandments. You know, it says in the 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill, right? And also, does the Bible actually say something about conception? I believe it does. If you look into Psalm 139, verse 13 to 14, it says that, "For you formed my inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well." There you are, guys. That's what the Bible says about when life begins. You know, for me, I absolutely believe and stand with my own beliefs in what was taught to me, that life begins at conception. All right, that's all for now, guys. If you haven't yet, I'll see you on the next video. But please, before you leave, I would appreciate a comment, like, a subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, and always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Shalom.